What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Friday live stream. Make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button on the way in. And we will go ahead and get started. Y'all know my routine. I get started when there is 100 plus or 100 people in who's watching, I should say. And so far, I'm only seeing 2 people. It says I have 7 live viewers though so far, but it takes a little while for people to come in. I'm gonna go ahead and share the stream onto my Twitter page. If you have any social media, go ahead and share it so we can get more people to come on in. But what's going on, Darlene, AV the Great, Mickey Bricks, Jamal Bay, Ashen, K-Bar, RJ Connections? Of course, we know we have another interesting week of topics to discuss. Of course, the topics I'm talking about today, I have not spoken about yet on my channel. It's a mix of things y'all probably have heard and probably some things you haven't heard. But all in all, it should be a very good show. And if it sounds like I'm coming through clear, it's because I am, because I'm finally using my new mic for this stream, because I've been using the microphone that's been built in to the computer, to the laptop for the last few streams. And that's mainly because I didn't check to see if the mic would actually work for this, but it does. It's just that I wasn't checking the settings. But we are all good to go. What's going on, V, Michelle, C Truth, Dolly, Tyler, Lucky? Right now it says I have 46 people. What's going on, Nicole, Isaiah? I'm waiting for 100 people to come in, and we will go ahead and get started. And the reason why I like to have 100 people in here before I actually get started is more so for y'all, because I know if I have 100 people in here, then I have a lot of people watching, at least for the first couple of topics, or at least the first one anyway. Let's see what's going on. Jerome, Brienne, Aliyah. Lucky Lloyd said, hope everyone is enjoying the weekend. It should be a very interesting weekend. Shout out to those of you who have any plans. I don't have any. If something happens, it happens. What's going on? Big time Antoine Dewan. Oh yeah, definitely. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure y'all hit that like button. I don't know what it is for some reason, but y'all aren't the only ones who have a tendency to come in and forget to hit that like button. What's going on, Tonda? And Nicole, I be trying to catch the streams that you be having, because you be having some very thorough conversations, especially when it comes to science. Salute to everybody that is currently in the chat. We are still waiting for a few more people to come on in before we go ahead and get started. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today. And I just want to make sure that people are here, because a lot of times I get comments after the video, after the stream is done, where people will come in and say, oh, I missed it for whatever reason it may be. But I try to make sure I incorporate as many people as possible. She said, Nicole, you said in the title, L and O. Yep, we got to be talking about it today. We are talking about it today. And the crazy thing is, the Ellen topic is not even the craziest topic I'm going to be discussing. That's the crazy part about it. Like I said, stuff that I'm talking about in this live stream, some of you've already heard, some you have not. Especially the last 3 topics. I know for sure, unless y'all are on Twitter, y'all didn't hear about this, because I swear I think that's the only place I saw the last 3 topics. So far, it says that I have 76. Oh, I have 84 people in here. I only need a few more and we will get started. And if I didn't say hello to anyone who just entered the chat, because a lot of people just started to flood in, welcome. Welcome all. How are the notifications working for y'all? Because I noticed that my notifications work pretty decent when it comes to the live streams, but for some reason, when it comes to the premiere videos, they rarely work the way that they should. I always thought that was strange to me, since the premiere video is kind of like an offset of the live stream, but the live stream notifications work more. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe it's because I only do one live stream on Fridays and the algorithm works because of that. I'm not sure. And because when I do my premiere videos, that's considered a 4th video. And also a little trick. If you feel that the notifications are not working for you, all you have to do is this. Click this unsubscribe from me, and then resubscribe, and then click the notification bell and make sure that it's set to all, because then what's going to happen is YouTube is going to recognize you as a new subscriber. Just in case. That's a tip that I heard. So keep that in mind. If the notifications are not working for you, make sure what you should do is to click to unsubscribe from me, then resubscribe, and then click the bell and have it set to all. Because when you resubscribe, YouTube is going to recognize you as a new subscriber. Okay, now it says I have 97. It's crazy. I was just at 99, so I don't know where did I drop to. I might have to, you know what? I might post that up into my my community tab after the stream, because I know everyone's not going to catch it since I'm just now mentioning it and it's still early. So I might mention it again at the end of my stream when it's over, when it's way more people in here. So those who missed it the first time around, they'll catch it the next time. So, okay, I see some people said it's working and some that says that it is. It depends. But if it's not working for you, just use that tip that I suggested. Oh, we have met our goal. We are at 103. So I will go ahead and get started. And also still make sure that you are subscribed for me, because I've had some of my subscribers tell me that I had one tell me that they got sent my videos as a recommendation. And it was like, why am I being sent your videos as a recommendation if I'm subscribed to you? Usually recommended videos only happen when you are not subscribed to a particular person and YouTube is trying to tell you to subscribe to them. And sure enough, YouTube did unsubscribe them. So you definitely have to also check to make sure that you are still subscribed to me, because that does happen as well. YouTube tends to unsubscribe people from people's channels as well. Okay, so we are now at our goal. Y'all are letting me know, even though I already knew, but I just had to get that last piece of information out there. So the first topic I want to discuss today is the George Floyd body cam footage being released. I don't know if y'all watched it or not, but I'm going to be quite honest. I did not watch it. And I was sent that video and tagged in that video so many times, but I could not bring myself to watch it. It was bad enough seeing him actually be murdered from that one camera angle that the whole world saw, that I don't want to watch what led up to that, or the footage leading up to that. Like, I could not bring myself to actually watch that. Like, I could not watch it. And I know if anyone of you in here who did watch it, I know that was hard for you to watch. I couldn't watch it, but that's just me. Because it's like you're literally like looking at a man that you know died a horrible death, and you're watching it about to happen. And all I could see was the thumbnail, because the same thumbnail everywhere, and it was his look of concern and more of being scared, the scared look on his face, where you can kind of tell he knew something was about to happen. And it's crazy that they released that now. What was it, like 2.5 months after the fact? Someone has suggested that they are probably trying to incite something or to get something reignited. That's a very strong possibility, because they know that that incident was a very triggering moment for a lot of people. But for me, I chose not to watch it. I told myself I wouldn't watch it, and I didn't. And this is probably going to be the only time that I speak on it, which is why I decided to do it in the form of a live stream instead of a pre-recorded video. The reason being, because if I did it in a pre-recorded video, people would have been expected of me to actually have watched it and then give my take on it. And I just refused to do it. Olasumbo said that he has some mental issues. He very well could have, but you know, in this establishment, black people aren't allowed to have mental illnesses, even if it's been diagnosed by a doctor. But Palm Color can have all the mental illnesses in the world and have one diagnosis. That's why I always say, whenever they say they have a mental illness, they need to specify what is it, because mental illness is so broad. There are so many levels of mental illnesses that you can have. Like, you have bipolarism, you can have schizophrenia, you can have is different mental illnesses you can have. But every time they say that they have a mental illness, especially they use that a lot last year when they had all those like mass shootings and school shootings and stuff. Oh, this such and such person had a mental illness. What mental illness did they have? They never specify what it is. They just throw it out there. Oh, they had a mental illness. And they didn't get diagnosed with one mental illness. I'm like, pull up the medical records and see what their primary physician said that they had. They can't do it because they didn't have one. And then you have people who are in that community who deal with mental illnesses all the time say the stuff that they do, like act out and commit mass shootings like this, that's not conducive to someone who has a mental illness. But they throw that out there. But you know, that only works for palm colored people. So I'm like, are you suggesting that palm colored people are the only people who have quote unquote mental illnesses? If anything, with all the stuff black people have been going through in this establishment forever, since we've been here, we should be the ones that should have all the mental illnesses. But compared to them, we are actually 100% sane. But we know it's a scapegoat. And they do that to try to spare them their lives. How many times have we heard about black people having a mental illness and they still kill them anyway? Remember that guy that was in the military and he walked down the street with no clothes on and the cops killed him? I'm sorry, the terrorists killed him because they claimed that they feared for their life. What the hell was he going to do butt naked? He had no weapon on him. How was he a threat? Meanwhile, you had that white guy a couple years ago, it was the last year, chasing around these palm colored cops while they have these big military style weapons and they running away from him after he just killed somebody. But you know how it goes in this establishment. Ashton, you said someone is saying that the body cam footage is fake or staged. I'm willing to bet that person watches Fox News and is a Trump supporter. I'm willing to bet that is the case. Exactly, Isaiah. That's all it really is white privilege. Is palm colored privilege as usual. That's really all it is. But as far as that body cam footage, I couldn't bring myself to watch it, especially if that thing had sound. I would not have been able to like listen to that man's last words or the words that was coming out of the mouth, out of the mouths, I should say, of those terrorists that killed him. But let me go ahead and move on to the next topic. Now, this next topic I'm going to talk about was sent to me, but I told the person who sent it to me that I wasn't going to talk about it until I had received some more information about it, and my hunch was correct about this person. And that is none other than Jake Paul. Now, I have done videos about Jake Paul and his brother Logan Paul on my channel before. Of course, the most recent one I did about Jake Paul was, him being in Arizona at a mall looting with all these people out there and him getting caught on camera looting. And then he tried to come back on and say that it wasn't him in the camera and everything like that. Although you heard people yelling his name in the video, and you can look at the video and clearly tell that it's him, even though the visibility wasn't that good. You can still tell that it was him. Now you got to make yourself ask this one question. How does a person who makes millions of dollars a year end up in that situation? And then I was watching a video about not about him by Town Biz, and he was basically saying he seems like he's acting like an agent, like he was planted there. The thing is, Jake Paul was not supposed to get caught. Now, what recently just happened with Jake Paul is the FBI went and raided his house. And then it all came back to me. I said, oh, they went back because of what happened back in June. They went to his house and they raided it. And they found a few things there. Now, my thing is this. Is YouTube going to hold him accountable for what he did? I'll answer it for you. Hell no. They didn't hold his brother accountable for what he did and what he has continued to do. Why? Because they bring in revenue. But we are the channels that they decide to keep their eye on all the time. We are the channels that they choose to continue to stalk and spy on. Appreciate you, Jameson, for that comment. And they'll try to bury it because notice that when he went out there, to that mall back in, in Arizona back in June, that they don't even really talk about it anymore. Like that was a story that just literally was here today, gone tomorrow. Just like his home being raided, he trended on Twitter and whatnot. He's not trending no more. They work overtime to protect the Golden Boys. But they keep an eye on us. And mind you, we have way, way, way less of a following than they do, which would say to anyone with a brain that they're the ones that should be watched. A lot of the problems or the stuff or the reason why YouTube has to have made a lot of their changes comes from YouTubers like Jake Paul and Logan Paul and Shane Dawson and PewDiePie. What do they all have in common? But besides the fact that they have millions of followers and make millions of dollars, they're all white. All white males in particular. But we're the ones that they got to keep an eye on. Let me move on to the next story. And that is Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell yet again. So in case y'all haven't heard, there was something very interesting, by the way. that came out involving Epstein Island, Ghislaine Maxwell, and all of that mess over there. So it actually just came is that when they were recruiting, and I use that term loosely, recruiting these girls, for their sexual favors, Epstein had one major rule. Did anyone in the chat tell me what that one rule was? He probably had more, but this is the one that recently came out. Mr. Finesse, I still need to go watch that Netflix special. Can anyone in the chat tell me what that one rule was that Epstein had when it came to recruiting those girls? Okay, so I see Trinidad Onassis was the first person. Oh, no, they wasn't. Okay, Lucky Lloyd was the first person to say it, but many of you got it right. Not to recruit any black girls. That was his one of his major rules, to not go after any black girls. If y'all knew how many comments I saw on Twitter that said the one time that racism actually worked in our favor, I saw that so many times. But you know what? I'm going to echo it. That was one time racism worked in our favor. Be very glad that he did not want to go after black girls. So that lets you know what kind of a fetish Epstein had, or many of the other people who went to his island. Be very glad about that. Don't be mad. If you are upset about that and you are black, you need your head examined, preferably with a block. I guess he felt that the white girls were more pure and everything like that. Well, have at it. Not saying that it's okay, because it's definitely not either way, because it's still a very disgusting and degrading act in which they were doing on that island. Yeah, I mean, you said pale males rape white girls the majority of the time. If you look up the stats, the FBI crime stats under the rape category, white people lead in an exceedingly high amount. Of course, we know most of them are white men. There's some white women in there too. Don't get it twisted. They're mixed in that percentage, but the majority of them happen to be white men. Oh, and while we are talking about this, because I didn't put this in my notes, while we are talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, somebody, I'm not even going to say who, somebody sent me and a few others a list of names. It was a long list too. A long list of names. And I'm not going to say any of the names on here. As a matter of fact, I don't even have the email up. I still have the email, but I don't have it up. Of all these palm-colored polytrictions that quote unquote retired or resigned when Ghislaine Maxwell started spilling the beans. Now, how ironic they resigned around that time, or when they, not so much spilling the beans, but when they got her. It was a lot of names, and the crazy part is that wasn't even the entire list. Like when I saw that list, it had their name, it had their political position, it had their party affiliation, and what state they represented. And it was a long, long list. Actually, K-Ba, it wasn't. Here's the thing. The list did not have the usual suspects on it. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. All right. No, but the list did not have the usual suspects' names on it. This list had people who you're probably not familiar with. So Bill Clinton was not one of the names on that list because I scrolled through all of those names because I think the names were in alphabetical order. So, you know, he would be closer to the top if they were doing my first or last name. His name was not on the list. These were names of politicians that you don't think about, but all of them were politicians. Nope, Aquarius. Nope, I'm not going to incriminate myself. Just know that I saw the list. I saw a particular list. When I saw that, I said I will not make a video about this. I will only talk about it in subliminals, and I won't say any names. It's crazy because these are the type of people that walk amongst you every day. These are the type of people that get on TV, say all these nice little things, but behind the scenes, what they got going on? A whole bunch of debauchery. But just know I saw that list and that email is still in my inbox. I did not delete it. So if I really wanted to, I can go back in there and pull that email up. And the thing is, that list, it was on some type of a blog site. I think it was like some kind of political blog site. I forgot the name of it. And make sure if y'all are a mod in my chat to monitor it in case any trolls come in. And I wouldn't be surprised that if some of the people that did go to that island use aliases, of course, like fake names, because, you know, if you're a politician and you go and involve yourself with something like that, you're not going to go out there and use your real name as if they couldn't see your face, but they traveled privately, quote unquote. That's a weird world to be mixed up in. That's a very weird world to be caught up in. So it could be very well some people on there that we know about, but they use fake names. But I just wanted to go ahead and mention that on one of, and this is well, I'm gonna just go. This is gonna be like a little subtopic because this wasn't one I was going to talk about. This actually has something to do with tech and everything like that, and it still kind of does. And I wanted to talk about it. But shout out to Pharaoh Speaks because he talked about this on his channel. It's actually one of his most recent videos. When I just read the title alone, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "See, if someone did something like that to me, it's a wrap." So basically what happened is you had this boy. I don't know how old the boy is, but he's old enough to know what he did, who was an avid Fortnite player and most like, you know, into tech and all types of good stuff like that. This boy, this kid spent all this money on Fortnite upgrades and all types of other upgrades and ran up $20,000 worth of upgrades to that game and tech stuff. I was like, are you kidding me? But that's not the only thing though. The $20,000 that he ran up was on his parents' savings account. Appreciate you, Jameson King says, for the Rain Ministry. Appreciate you. On his parents' savings account. When I heard that, I said, oh, I would be one kid short. And if we had only one kid, then we'll just go back down to having no kids. When I saw that, I said, yep. I said, I hope they dealt with him Because I said that story pissed me off to the point where I wanted to find out who it was and beat him for them. 20,000, 27. It was over 20,000. Oh, hood mistress, you already know who. You already know. You already know. When I heard that, I said, "How does one spend that much money on on a computer game upgrade and other miscellaneous things, but then use your parents' savings account to spend it? How did he even get access to that? Is the better question." I know when his parents looked in that savings account, or when they got notified by their bank, they said, "Look, we need you to look at this because this is unusual spending right here." Because the bank can see the transactions, and they're probably like, "Where's this money going and who's spending it?" Because they probably thinking that somebody probably hacked their account, which is common. But to find out the person that's been using your account is your son, or maybe he hacked the account. I would not be surprised if he hacked the account. But if y'all haven't checked out that video, go to Pharaoh Speaks channel. I don't know, it's one of the latest videos he did, and go watch that. I was like, wow. I was I'm like, how do you do that? How does one do that? So if y'all have kids and everything like that, and they're in a Fortnite or anything that involves an upgrade, make sure y'all are monitoring that, because they might try to spend something. And you know what it could have been? His parents probably allowed him to get little upgrades here and there if they cost money, because they probably saw it didn't cost much. But what they probably didn't do was take the card off of the file and prevent him from spending any more. So it sounds like he just went buck wild with it. And he probably didn't even realize the stuff was adding up. You can get stuff that's $10 here, $20 there, and everything like that. But if so many upgrades come and it has a price tag attached to it and you like it, you're going to keep spending $10 here, $20 there. And before you know, that 10 and 20 turns into 100, 200, that 100, 200 turns into 1,000, 2,000, and so on and so forth. Because a lot of people don't realize, especially when you are young, that those little pockets of money adds up to a lot. That's all I can really chop it up to, unless he hacked the card, or hacked it or something like that to get access to it. Now, if he did that, oh, he definitely getting his ass beat for sure. Because kids nowadays are very technical. They know how to get into things. Look at these toddlers walking around with iPads and whatnot. Know how to operate it better than some adults. But I just wanted to mention that part. Like I said, that wasn't in my list of things to talk about. But I said I couldn't leave that part out because I said that was completely mind blowing. But let me move on to the next topic. Now, if any of y'all watch Chris Miller or his channel Black Up India, he actually just recently did a video talking about this. And that's about the football player Travis Kelce and his now ex-girlfriend. I think that's his ex-girlfriend. I think her name is Kayla. I don't know what her last name is. If y'all know this story, y'all can write her last name in the chat. But I think her last name is Kayla. So basically, Travis Kelce is a white football player, and Kayla is a black woman. Apparently, they met through the DMs on Instagram. I think that's how a lot of people are meeting each other nowadays, is through the DM. And, they started and established a relationship and everything like that, and to the point where they actually started talking to each other as boyfriend and girlfriend. Well, that all pretty much went straight down the tubes, because recently it just came out that Travis Kelce was messing around on her with Becky with the good hair. We'll just put it like that. You said Kayla Nicole or something. Okay. I guess, but I know her first name is Kayla. I know her first name is Kayla. You know what's so crazy? They say once you go black, you never go back. This has to be one of them times in history where that wasn't the case. He went to black and then went back to white. But what was so interesting is that I didn't see any think pieces from Divest Twitter or that side talking about this. And when you brought it up, they came out and tried to say some things along the line of like, why should we talk about this? I said, you talk about it any other time. You talk about it whenever. So it is what it is. Meanwhile, you have this black female model, who is dating this black man. And you had Divest Twitter trying to come in her mentions. Those of you who watch Jada Black know where I'm headed with this. Came in her comment section talking about how could she date this regular man and all types of stuff like that. I'm like, y'all are that depressed. Here you have this black female model who's with this black man, and they were trying to throw salt on her relationship because he's a quote unquote regular man, calling him all types of dusties and whatnot. Shout out to the truth revelator. He said she probably wasn't that good in bed. Who knows? But they actually attacked her for that. I'm like, how do you know what this guy has? All they saw was a picture of him. He had on a white shirt, a chain, and a white do-rag. And they looked at him and said he's a regular dude. I can't take these divestors seriously at all. And when he was going through the chat, not the chat, but the tweets, I saw some divestors on there that I recognized because they tried to invade my comments, my tweets a couple of times. One time, one of them thought I was agreeing with him. I'm like, why are you agreeing with me? I'm talking about you. I just thought that was weird, but that's a weird bunch over there anyway. All right, let me move on to the next topic, and that is Ellen DeGeneres, who is in talks of leaving her show. And we all know why. But this proves that even the person who can come out and appear to be the nicest, most gentle, sweetest person in the world could turn out to be very dark, toxic, and very unappealing. So the stuff that has come out about her is nothing new. There have been talks and rumors for years that Ellen is rather nasty to her guests and to those in the audience and even the people that she works with. That has been something that has been around for a couple of years now. And it's crazy because, everyone thought, saw or looked at Ellen as this very nice and sweet and caring, charismatic person. But now you're hearing all this stuff come out about her. Because, there was always questions about who would be the next queen of daytime talk after Okra. Shout out to you, Solo Dolo. He says that L class. Yeah, but there was always talks about who would be coming after Okra when she was done, because they were trying to find a new one and they found it with her. And, even down to when she would do her giveaways and stuff, that's something that, Okra was known to do. So I even saw it then. But now the house of cards is not slowly, but they're literally crumbling around her. They're literally crumbling as we speak right now. But like I said, everybody in Hollywood has some kind of skeleton in their closet. Her bones are falling are falling out right before our eyes. Yeah, I did see that the Dr. Carpy, Kevin Hart, and I think Tyrese threw on the cape and ran out to defend her. Not that I don't think it's really going to do much. I don't think it's really going to do much at all because these allegations that are against her are pretty intense. And I don't think the likes of Kevin Hart and Tyrese is going to change that. It is what it is. If this is the end of her show, it had a good run because her talk show been on since I was in high school. So that tells you right there how long her show has been on. You said, I wonder if Ellen's wife is going to leave her. That would be kind of, if she did leave, then that's going to raise more questions. If they were smart, I would say stay married, just stay together, for the optics of it all. Because if she was to leave, then people are going to ask more questions. Then they're going to say, oh, maybe she's abusing her. Not saying that she is, but those are going to be questions that's going to come up. I wonder if she's abusing her. Did she cheat on her? Everything like that. So if they were smart and they had a good PR team, they'll say, look, for right now, until the dust settles, stay together. Make it look good for the cameras. And speaking of crumbling, who saw what happened in Beirut? Everybody should say one in the chat because I don't think there's anybody on this planet who didn't see what happened. When I saw that footage of that explosion, it looked like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie. Like, you see stuff like that on videos or on TV or in movies, but I never actually saw it happen in real time or that, actually happen. And when I saw that explosion, and the one thing that got me was seeing that shockwave that got sent back to the people. When I saw that, I was like, wow. Now, of course, people are saying that, oh, they don't think it was just a run-of-the-mill explosion. They think something set it off for whatever reason that might actually be. Now, I saw a picture of like an overhead picture of what Beirut looked like before that explosion and what it looked like after that explosion. In that aerial view, that was a big explosion. It literally knocked off a chunk because it looked like it was sitting on water, like off of the water. That whole chunk was gone. It almost looks like a big shark came onto the shore and chopped this big piece off of it. That's what it looked like. But then when they showed like the rubble and the people walking through, I was like, wow. It looked like now it looks like a whole third world country right now in that area. You said it was at a port. Okay, well that explains why it was on water. But they said that blast could be felt 100 miles away. That is powerful. Do you know how much 100 miles is? 100 miles is like, well, I'm trying to think. 100 miles for me is like me driving from where I'm at in Maryland going to North Carolina. That's like, no, it's less than that. Like maybe like a certain part of Virginia, like Southern VA. That's 100 miles. But like I said, it did look like something post-apocalyptic. It looked like almost like a nuke bomb that got dropped. That's almost what it looked like. Silent Lamont said they were destroying something important with that bomb. I wouldn't be surprised because it was always speculation, why they did with 9/11 and what happened the day before it that they didn't want to get out. or something that they had to destroy. A lot of the times when they needed to destroy something, whether it's some documents or people, they will blow it up to cover their tracks. The Shay said, "How far am I from Norfolk, Virginia?" Uh, I would say about 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours, somewhere around that time. Yeah, but when I saw that, I said, "Oh, okay." I wouldn't be surprised if it was planned, quote unquote. But I hope them people are able to pull through, though. But let me move on to the next topic. So this one came out a couple days ago, where they were talking about passport delays. And this one right here completely contradicts, or is now a contradiction, I should say, because in case y'all have not heard, and this came out yesterday, the State Department has lifted the travel ban for the US. In case y'all didn't know, there was a level 4 travel ban on the US since March when the virus first happened, which basically said that American citizens or US citizens are not allowed to travel abroad. And it's been there since March. They just lifted it yesterday. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, the numbers, embellished or not, in America, in the US, are astronomically high. They keep going up. But you want to lift the travel ban that will prevent people from traveling overseas when most of these nations have blocked US citizens from coming into their nations. A lot of these people have not been working since March, which means they have not been making any money. Some people got laid off and or fired from their jobs, which means they have not been able to bring in any type of real income. The last thing on their minds is hopping on a bird and flying across the pond. And those nations that have not locked down their borders to the US, after hearing this, I'm willing to bet they are going to put in motion that they lock it down. Because they like, look, we got our numbers down to a workable size or something that's containable. We do not need y'all infested cells coming over here and possibly spreading it and getting everything back up again. That's why I said, embellished or not, they're not willing to take the risk. And I can't even blame them, because I would shut down my borders too. It's like you work that hard to get your numbers down to have them come back over here, but we know why they're doing it. The airports are a government-owned entity. It's tied to the government. So they still need them to make money, because the airline companies have lost billions of dollars over the last 5 months. So they're trying to get people to travel as much as possible. But the thing is, where are they going to travel to? Most nations are not allowing US citizens to come over. It's not like they won't know it's them, because all they have to do is check that passport. So I think that's absolutely silly, to say the least. But anyway, let me move on to this one. Oh man, this one right here. I said I was not going to make a video about this one. I said this one's definitely for the live stream. So who heard about Roly Poly and these alleged comments that he made towards Dr. Khalid Muhammad? Who heard about that? when I heard about that and I heard what he had allegedly said about this man, I said this man could not be lying any more than he could try. I said, so you really expect us to believe that you checked one of the most notable black figures in the 20th century, who was known to check many people who are definitely a step above you on their platform, but you checked him in the NOI. I do not believe it. Remember, Roland Martin is the same guy who allowed Cancer Phillips to come onto his show and check him on his show. This is the same guy that allowed Richard Spencer to come onto his show and check him. Notice the key words there are his show, the one he used to have on TV One. He didn't go over there and they checked him on their platform. They checked him on his platform. But we're expected to believe that he checked Dr. Khalid Muhammad. We don't believe you, Roland. You need more people. I mean, if you look back at all the videos that Dr. Khalid Muhammad has done over the tenure of his life, in that short amount of time, look at all the impact that he left. And that was a very short time span because he passed in 2000. And most of his footage comes from the 90s. So he wasn't around that long, unfortunately. I wish he was still here, though, because he was relatively young when he died. I'm looking at all that footage and all the people that he has checked over the years on their platforms. But you want me to believe that Roland Martin, that you checked him when you couldn't even check a known white supremacist who was easy to debunk. That man simply asked you, who are you? I'm a Christian. Even Richard Spencer had to look at you like, huh? He said, I didn't ask what your religious beliefs were. I said, who are you? He was trying to pull out of you that you are a black man, and you failed. You didn't even fall for it. You failed. Then you had Cancer Phillips run gunshot on your show trying to check this actress in that movie Birth of a Nation while she was trying to talk down and ill of black men. And you had pretty much left that black woman, that actress, Anjanae Ellis, out to dry because you didn't want to check Cancer Phillips, a known black man hater. Let her sit up there and say, oh, black men need to take responsibility for their role in rape culture. You didn't even check her on that. And she told you that to your face on your show. But at that time, you didn't see yourself as a black man. You said to Richard Spencer, I'm a Christian. But you expect us to believe you checked an actual man who knew he was black. If you expect us to believe that there's a bridge in Brooklyn, apparently you must be trying to sell us for free. I don't know what he was trying to do with that, but he was definitely grasping for straws, but he didn't have any of us fooled. All we did was clown him, and rightfully so. And see, Dr. Khalid Muhammad is one of those ancestors that we hold in high regard. And see, he was like the second coming of Malcolm. He was actually like a culmination of a lot of black leaders rolled into one package. And to be honest, I don't think we'll ever see something like that again. Honestly. But you expect us to believe that while you up there tap dancing and cutting jig with Hillary Clinton and teaching her how to Dougie or whatever it is you were doing, up there wearing your ascots to hide your lack of a neck, you still wearing that tired Jerry curl. This is the same guy that got checked over at his job when he used to work at CNN because he made a non-threatening assessment about a Super Bowl ad. But we're to believe that you checked this black man who was very, very stand on your square type of person. Stand firmly on your square. No one takes Roland Martin seriously. No one except himself and the people on his payroll. Shout out to you, Solo Dole. He said, rest in power, Dr. Khalid Muhammad. Exactly. But when he said that, I just shook my head. And of course, for those of you who watched the 1LVZ, you know that's one of his heroes right there. So I already knew he was going to talk about that when he heard about it. And he did. And see, Roland Martin, he's not FBA. He's not. Dr. Khalid Muhammad was. But we're to believe you checked him, though. That's why a lot of people are kind of weary of foreign-born, non-FBA black people, because they say slick things like that. The nerve of him to actually think that he was going to say something like that. And this was leaked audio, by the way, because I think the audio was made back in 2018 and 2017. It was a couple years ago. But the fact that he thought he was going to just come out there and say that and no one was going to say anything back, he was sadly mistaken. But yeah, he's a clown. He is a straight up clown. The only thing Roland Martin checks is his order every time he's going through any type of fast food drive-through. That's the only time he checks anything, to make sure that order is right. Now, let me move on to the next story. And speaking of the islands, we got to talk about this situation that's going on in Jamaica. Who heard about what's going on in Jamaica right now? Or at least what was going on in Jamaica? In case y'all haven't heard, there was this high court in Jamaica that was trying to, or was about to, and almost did, ban locks, dreadlocks in schools. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, I would understand if that happened here in the States or anywhere else for that matter. But in Jamaica, though, where wearing locks was made popular, I said, wait a minute, who is running the government over there? That caught me by surprise. But that lets you know that this is indeed a system. They said they wanted to ban the wearing of locks in schools. But thankfully, the people over there pushed back hard and they overturned it. But that don't mean they won't bring it back. But this is what we talk about when we say that this is a system. And it also lets you know that white supremacy is not just in the States. It's not just in America. It is a global thing. I have done so many videos talking about hair, especially when it comes down to kids in schools. You know, them wanting to ban your, if you wear your hair a certain way. Especially when it comes down to locks, the dreadlocks. But in Jamaica, that really caught me by surprise. Because I'm like, Jamaica, of all places where they're known to wear locks, where people think of locks, they always think of Jamaica for the most part. But that just goes back that they don't want, black kids or black people for that matter, expressing themselves through their hair. But yeah, I'm glad that they were able to push back against that, because that was absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, what does your hair have to do with your education? Like, what does it have to do? Nothing. Your knowledge isn't in your hair, it's in your head. But anyway, let me move on to this next one right here. This one right here has so many symbolisms in it. It doesn't even, it's crazy. So in case y'all didn't hear, the Navy SEALs was under a lot of fire. They were practically under a volcano with this video that went out when they were doing some kind of training with dogs. And the person that was doing the training had on all the gear that they were using, to protect themselves. But one thing in particular that had nothing to do with the uniform is what made this video go viral and have the Navy SEALs have a ton of pushback, and rightfully so. That item that this person decided to wear was a Colin Kaepernick jersey. When I saw that and I looked at it just one time, I instantly knew the symbolism. Not the fact that he had on a Colin Kaepernick jersey, but I knew what they were subliminally saying. This took me back to Jim Crow, when they would used to sick those dogs, those German shepherds, onto black people during the civil rights era. If you look at that video and look at images from that time, they look exactly the same. Subliminally, they were saying, we're going to use our attack dogs, or we're training our dogs to go after a particular group of people. But they happen to use Colin Kaepernick's jersey because they hate that man that much for being vocal about his issues or the issues of the black community. I know I'm not the only one that caught that. I know I cannot be the only one that caught that. Exactly, Lone Wolf Gang. He said that was intentional and they were sending their message loud and clear. Like I said, some people only saw that the trainer had on a Colin Kaepernick jersey. That some people that's as far as they thought. And that's fine. But I thought past that. I said, this reminds me of Jim Crow, where they had the dogs attack black people when those terroristic cops of that time was send their cops to bite on black people. And those dogs have a serious bite, like they will bite into the flesh. I can't even count how many black people probably had to get rabies shots after that. But when I saw that, I said, I see what message y'all are conveying. I see it. Senior says, notice how they always wear something that symbolizes black people, never any other race, only us. Yet people claim racism is not widespread. Yep. Or they'll wear something of theirs that they know will trigger black people. Like they'll walk around with that Confederate flag and everything like that, or they'll do Nazi salutes and whatnot. They know that they do stuff to trigger, or they'll do stuff to trigger people. If they don't wear something like that, or like wear blackface or anything like that, they'll wear something of theirs that they know will trigger us, or say something that will trigger us. I said to someone the other day, this establishment couldn't hold itself up on its own without black people in it. I said, we are the seasoning to this bland and uncultured society. If you take us away, what are you going to do? All they can do is fight amongst each other. But this shows right here that we are always on their mind. Now, just imagine if this was a trainer who was black, who had all the gear on, but wore a Tom Brady jersey and had a dog biting on the cushion. I think we all know what would happen. We will probably find out who the name of that person is. Mind you, we don't know who the trainer was. And we will find out where it happened at, and we will find a way. They will find a way to get them up out of there. He will be dishonored, like talking. He would be dishonorably discharged, and they will make sure that he doesn't get gainful employment if you can get it nowadays. Because as you can see in this society, getting gainful employment is not the easiest thing to do right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and go over to Twitter, because we have some stuff to discuss over on that platform. It's it's a few topics. Well, not that many, but it's like 3 of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so we can head on over to Twitter and see what's being talked about over there. Okay. Let me know if y'all can see that. See what's on your screen right now. Can y'all see it? Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Thought that was the zoom in button. Never mind. I'll work with this. Okay. So this is a tweet from a dummy, an idiot, who tends to tweet this kind of thing out once a month. Not just her, but a couple of people who have that same line of thinking. They say 68% of Black mothers are the breadwinners in their household. 68. Why are we still having discussions on what Black women bring to the table? Then I noticed right after the tweet that they wrote, after her mentions got invaded, and rightfully so, they said, "Time to mute. I said what I said." You want to know what's so interesting about why? You want to know why this person muted themselves, besides the fact that they got invaded in their mentions? Because somebody was able to retrieve a chart. I'm trying to see if I can scroll down and see if I can find that chart. Okay, here it is. Somebody brought up this chart right here that shut down their entire argument and what kind of divide they were trying to create with this. Breadwinner mothers with children under 18 by race and ethnicity of mother and household type 2014. Under Black mothers, it says 60.9%. The green represents single mother breadwinner, purple is married mother breadwinner, and the gray is percent of household married non-breadwinner mothers. Black women have 18.9% for households married of being the non-breadwinner. 20.3% is married with them being the breadwinner. And at number 1 within a whopping 60.9%, single mothers are the breadwinners. So basically, this chick tried to take the stat that was representative of single mothers and place it as if they are the breadwinners overall. Of course, you're the breadwinner. Who are you competing with in the household? Your kids? Exactly, Ash. And she does not have a blue check, but with that kind of tweet, she's trying to compete for one. No wonder you're the breadwinner. Look at that number. But the fact of the matter is, this person took that stat right there and tried to play it off as something else and didn't think people would find it or find out. So she's a whole goofball for that. No wonder she muted her mentions because they came for her. But I'm gonna move off of that. Let me move on to the next thing. And this video right here. Hold on, let me pause it right quick. This TikTok video right here. Y'all can already look at the screen and already tell that it's it ain't looking too good. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it. Just watch this. It doesn't have any sound. It does have sound, but due to copyright purposes, it's muted. And that was on her TikTok, by the way. All I'm gonna say is this: they better hope that something does not happen to her and that she does not try to ID them in a lineup. I looked at that video and I said, this looks like the beginning of something on the gangbang section of Pornhub. They are a Me Too case waiting to happen. I think somebody said something along the lines in the of that in the chat. And yes, this is a TikTok video. Oh, and by the way, I know they said they were going to ban TikTok and everything like that. I don't know how far that's going to go or how true it is. But Instagram, in true nature, along with Facebook, because Facebook owns Instagram, now has this new feature on there called Reels, in which is basically a clone of TikTok. So if TikTok were to go away, they got something called Reels now. The Shadow says, boy, I didn't want to go there. The Shadow Assassin. But yeah, this all I'm gonna say is this: they better hope that nothing happened to her, because if something does and it wasn't one of them, they gonna look back to this video. And by the way, this was on her TikTok. It wasn't on any one of the guys in the video. It was on her TikTok. Shout out to you, Solo. This says, I don't care for TikTok. This was on her TikTok. Now I'm going to go to this last video right here. My God, let me tell you, y'all better brace yourselves for this one. I don't know if I can pull up the audio, so I'm gonna have to talk through it. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can expand the screen. So I saw this video last night, and this is the last thing I'm gonna talk about right here. I saw this video right here last night on Twitter and was absolutely disgusted with what I saw. And this happened in Norfolk, Virginia. I think it's somebody in here who said they were from Norfolk, Virginia. I wonder if they heard about this because it happened there. And I'm gonna go ahead and play it and explain to you what's happening. So as you can see right here, let me pause it. You see somebody is laid out right there. They got hit by a car. They got hit by a car. So you see people are walking around and they are just inspecting it and everything like that. So they're basically trying to figure out what's going on, like what happened and everything like that. Now pay attention to this chick right here by the car in this pink shirt. Now she's saying something to him. She's actually like berating this guy. Like she's basically saying, I gave you 18 years. And then you do this to me and everything like that. So it's almost sounding like I don't know. I don't know if there was some infidelity or whatever the case may be. But this woman right here ran over this dude. Apparently, they were in a relationship and she ran him over. And all she's doing is she's yelling at him and then she's walking over him. Watch this. Watch this. She picks up the bumper, boom, hits him with it. And she's still yelling at him. Sorry that I couldn't play this with the sound. And then she walks over to him again. And she's still, now you know she's yelling right there, because whenever a woman starts clapping like that, you know she's yelling. Now she's standing over him, and then she spits on him. She spit on him again. She spit on him like 2 or 3 times. And you want to know what's so crazy about that whole thing? This man, to my knowledge, ended up dying. Now I pulled up the article. I was able to I went on to Google after I saw that video, and I pulled up the article, and they did say that this woman is in custody. So if this man did indeed die, like I heard, now she's going to have most likely first-degree murder charges on her hands. She's worried about some 18 years, and she about to give the state the rest of her life. See, Truth the Revelator, the cops already got her. She's in custody. They already have her. She didn't get far. She did not get far at all. All I'm saying is this. When I was looking through the comment section, a lot of people were saying, especially the women who do take accountability, said there's no way that I'm going to do all of this over some guy. She says, unless the guy violated a child or someone close to me or even myself, I'm not going to go in the distance and do all of this. And based on what I was reading, is from what I've read, it says that this guy was trying to get away from her, because he said that this woman was trying to kill him regardless, and he was trying to get away from her. So something triggered her to go off like that, and then that's when she went ahead and killed him anyway. Damon M., you said they were married. Ms. Garcia, I don't know if they have kids. I don't know. And that would be even more worse, because if they do have kids, their kids have to see, they would have to see this. Well, I hope they don't have to see it, because that would be traumatizing. Imagine you seeing your mother kill your dad like that. But this just shows you right here that there's a certain element in our community. She definitely qualifies for the 2/3 for sure. Definitely, for sure. She definitely qualifies for the 2/3. And this happened. Let's keep this in mind, y'all. This happened in Virginia. This happened in Virginia. Again, I'll say this happened in VA. They are going to throw the book at her while it is on fire. She better not get anything less than life without parole, because that's definitely first-degree murder, because she definitely planned this. You can tell. just by her actions in the video. I feel absolutely nothing for her. I don't. I don't care what she was going through. The fact that she did all of that, it was unnecessary. But I'm glad that they did catch her. I'm glad that they do have her. But I do offer my condolences to this man and his family. And if they have any kids, I really feel bad for them because they just had to witness their dad being murdered by their mother. Now, I imagine had a man did this to her or did this to any woman. Well, let's keep it on the subject, the fact that they're black. If a black man had did this to a black woman, this story probably would have blown up even faster. I had to find out about this on Twitter. If this happened, say, the way that I just mentioned it as an example, it would have been everywhere. Why? Because it fits with the narrative that black men are savages. I don't even think the Shade Room talked about this, but then again, I don't expect them to. Of course, there was some people in the comment section trying to make excuses for this woman, and that doesn't surprise me. They try to make it seem like, oh, what did he do? What did he do? Are we watching the same video? This woman ran over who we are allegedly saying is her husband, and then stood over his body and cussed him out, took the bumper and threw it on him, and then spit on him like 2 or 3 times while this man laid unconscious in the street with no medical attention and has now been, as far as we know, pronounced dead. Sitting up there talking about what did he do? What you should be worried about is what them people in that prison going to do to her when she gets there. If you want to be worried, in which I'm not. But I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream right here. That, like I said, that was a lot for y'all to watch. Like, that was crazy. Like, that was wild. The audio was even worse. That's why I had to explain it to y'all. But I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream right here. Shout out to everybody who contributed to the stream. Shout out to everybody who has come through. Another Friday in the books. Of course, you know, tomorrow we go back to our regular scheduled programming, 9, 12, 4, and 8 p.m. Also, make sure, like I said, I'm gonna say it right now. Shout out to Solo Doe. He said, B1, appreciate you. Also, make sure, and I said it in the beginning, I told you I was gonna say it at the end. If y'all are not getting the notifications that I post, you know, for my videos, what the trick is to click these unsubscribe from me, then click the subscribe button again, and then put your notifications on all, because what it's going to tell YouTube is that you are a new subscriber. And then hopefully that works. Also, make sure that you are still subscribed to me, because sometimes YouTube be unsubscribing people. I know they be doing it, but I'll post those same instructions again in my community tab once I get off of this live stream. But with that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you in the next one.